might be retired, but he's still not out. Join former Australian all-rounder Jason Dizzy Gillespie and Travis Wakeling for some unfiltered cricket chat, legendary stories, and a laugh or two along the way. Let's play. All right, it's week number 3 on Ask Dizzy, Still Not Out podcast. My name's Travis Wakeling, joined by the great man, live from Melbourne tonight. You've been on a bit of a tour around. Jason Dizzy Gillespie, welcome back to your podcast. And you have been the man about town over in the beautiful Sri Lanka.
Yes, Trav, welcome and hello to everyone. I've just had a couple of days in beautiful Colombo in Sri Lanka, and was there speaking at a conference, entrepreneur business conference. So I was the keynote speaker, and Coils is the name of the brand there. So look, had a really good time. Met a lot of wonderful people there in Colombo. Stayed at a pretty fancy digs there, Trav. The Shangri-La in the middle of Colombo. It was pretty special.
That doesn't sound like your style, Diz. I thought you'd be more backpack or a low-key 3-star.
It was a bit fancy for me, but it was wonderful. Looked after the staff. Everyone was so welcoming. But got myself a little souvenir. Got myself a Sri Lanka T-shirt.
I like the shirt.
So, look, I love the country. The people are unbelievable. So welcoming, so nice. I urge anyone who's listening to this podcast, they want to go on a holiday and go and see a different part of the world, I highly recommend Sri Lanka. It's one of the most beautiful places that I've ever been to. I've been fortunate enough to play cricket there. It's just a beautiful part of the world.
What was your record like in Sri Lanka, Diz?
Not bad. The problem is, I actually made my one-day debut there in 1996 in the Premadasa Stadium in Colombo. I also, unfortunately, broke my leg in Kandy up in the mountainous region.
A bit of that last week.
Kandy, when I ran into Steve Waugh. So, I've had some experiences in Sri Lanka and got to meet a lot of wonderful people. And it's a place that's close to my heart. And very pleased to be able to go back and connect with a few people and. Met the new High Commissioner, who's been there about 3 months. The Australian High Commissioner, Matt, lovely man. Had a cup of tea with him and a chat, and look, it's a wonderful place, and looking forward to getting back there and sometime in the future.
Well, we are a worldwide podcast, as you know. Now, I have been getting messages about this Ask Dizzy segment. As soon as I posted the last one, I started to get the next batch of questions coming through.
Really?
I've got some coming through from the UK. I've got questions coming through from the States. I've got questions coming through from India. So I challenge our Sri Lankan listeners to get involved in this podcast. You've heard how much Dizzy loves your country. So maybe you could ask Diz about some of his experiences and more. We've heard about a couple of them. You could ask about some more experiences that from Sri Lanka or anywhere on the subcontinent, because your record on the subcontinent is superb with the bat and ball, shall we say.
I enjoy playing cricket on the subcontinent. It's challenging cricket, but it's very satisfying cricket. Knowing it's completely different conditions to what we grow up with in Australia. But to be able to go there and compete with subcontinent teams on their home turf, is very satisfying and good challenge, absolutely. And absolutely love my time there. Love the people. The environment is fantastic, and always make everyone feel really welcome. And I think that's an overriding thing. And you want when you travel to different parts of the world, you're always made to feel welcome. I've always just really felt that in Sri Lanka and India and Bangladesh, Pakistan. Always made to feel incredibly welcome, and it's a nice feeling.
What do you think your secret to success? I know we're going down a bit of a rabbit hole here, but what do you think your secret? We touched on it. Your record in the subcontinent was really strong. What do you think it was about your bowling that suited those conditions?
Yeah, look, that's a good question, Trav. And I think, I mean, you know that the conditions predominantly are always going to favour batting. The surfaces don't offer a lot of seam movement, fast outfield. So if the ball goes through the field, it's four. It makes you be better. It makes you be really ultra disciplined, and you have to make sure you're on each and every delivery that you bowl. So, that the margin for error. So if you're aiming in Australia, you could be aiming for a spot on the wicket that's the size of a small like a bathroom towel, a small towel. If you can hit that spot on the wicket consistently in Australia, you'll be driving the game. But I find on the subcontinent that area is so much smaller. It's almost like the size of a small shoebox, and you need to keep bashing away and hitting that spot on the wicket consistently, and to be patient and disciplined. That's what I found. Your margin for error was just that so much less. And then from a batting perspective, you face a lot of slow bowling, you face a lot of spin, and you just have to have your wits about you. I always felt why I was successful. Well, I wasn't a batter as such, but I had a plan. Yeah, I didn't score very fast, admittedly, but I had a plan. My plan was to basically get right out and hit the ball before it spun, or got right back and waited until it finished spinning. Didn't want to get caught on the crease with the bat. What I didn't want to do is go forward when the ball was to play a front foot defensive shot. What I didn't want to happen was I would go on the front foot and the ball's bouncing above my knee roll, because I always felt then I was vulnerable to catches close to the wicket. But if it was below my knee roll, I could smother it, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So that in a nutshell it was the game plan that I had as a batter on the subcontinent. And as I said, with the ball, just your margin for error is less, so you just have to be ultra disciplined and ultra patient, and get your fields right, and then just go out there and execute.
I'm going to clip that up. I'll send it to the Australian team in time for their next subcontinent tour, and they will now know exactly what needs to be done, both batters and bowlers. So that is an absolute masterclass from you. Thank you, Diz. Now, round 4 of the Shield, before we get on to the listener questions as well, just been completed. Gee whiz, there was a bit of a mixed bag of performances. It started with some impressive performances from our bowler, our boy Brendan Doggett. Another great performance. And then Bo Webster, 8 wickets. I mean, we were talking about this on our radio show today, but it's, what do? You've got someone who you want to put at number 6 in the batting order. He didn't make all the runs, but he's taken 8 poles in a team with a few injury challenges. I mean, how much is that going to play on the selectors' mind going into the first test? Is that something that could turn their heads?
Look, I actually think the selectors are really conflicted right now. They're really unsure. I suspect that there's a couple of ways it can go. If Jake Weatherald plays as opener, which I think that's a chance of happening, the only way that Cameron Green and Bo Webster play in the same side is if Nathan Lyon gets left out. That's the only way I see him making that side, or Bo Webster, getting in that side as well. Because I think everyone appreciates that the chances are, if they're going to go with one or the other, it's more than likely going to be Cameron Green. The only other way is if Jake Weatherall doesn't play, that's probably simpler in terms of Marnus goes to the top and then Green and Webster both play. I personally don't think that's the right way to go. I think Weatherall has to play. I think we need a specialist opener, and I think we need an opener, as we've touched on, an opener that is in contrast to Usman Khawaja. Someone can go out there and take the bowlers on. So if that happens, then it's one or the other, Green or Webster batting at 6, or the Australian selectors decide in Perth Stadium that they don't need Nathan Lyon, and which they've shown they've done it before. They did it in Kingston, Jamaica, in the recent tour to the West Indies. Left him out. But for me, that's the only way I can see both of them playing together.
Yeah, you know me, I'm a big fan of the slug, so I hope they find a way to get him in. I'm not sure that leaving Gaz out would please me too much, though. So,
and look, what I will say is I personally would not leave Gary Lyon out, Nathan. I think he has to play. I never like going into multi-day cricket matches, regardless of conditions, without a frontline spinner. I think you need a frontline spinner, and I think Nathan Lyon's got over 500 Test wickets. So he's done it time and time again for Australia in all conditions, in all situations. For me, he plays, and you just decide who plays out of Green and Webster. Simple as that.
So this sort of feeds into the first question that I've got from one of our listeners, but this is from Gordy Pops. I've come through the Instagram
Gordy
page.
Pops.
I think it's his nickname. I think Gordon's the full name, and
I'm pretty sure on his birth certificate it doesn't say Gordy Pops.
Well, we might get him to confirm that for us, but he is from Bath in the UK. So this is beautiful.
Hello, Gordy.
Have you been to Bath before?
I've been through Bath, yeah. And I've had a bath before as well. So, yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah. Just thought I'd share that. Not for many years, though, I must admit. It's not something I do regularly, but I'm a shower man, I must admit.
You haven't been to the Roman baths in Bath and you're passing through?
I haven't been to the Roman baths.
Something for your next UK trip.
Beautiful.
Nice little afternoon. But he's asking about the age of the squad. Now, we've seen Hazelwood's already given us a little bit of a scare with his hamstring. Sean Abbott is out of the squad for the first test with a hamstring injury. And we're already working on Pat Cummins to try and get him in for the second test. So his question is the Aussie squad too old? Yes, great players, but could it be, again, a case of they all retire at the same time?
Well, that's the worry, isn't it? That they all do retire at the same time. And I know Steve Waugh in recent times has been a little bit critical and probably targeted that criticism at George Bailey about not willing to make the tough calls. I thought George actually responded to that criticism quite well. Well, who do you leave out? And, these guys are performing, so they should play. I think selection is all about, and, very much the Australian coach and Australian selectors currently, Andrew McDonald, George Bailey and the like, they very much focus on the here and now. They don't necessarily worry about the future based on what I've seen with their selections. And I'll give you a couple of examples. Sam Constas playing in Melbourne and Sydney last year against India, and then he goes to Sri Lanka but doesn't play. And they go, horses for courses, we're going to play Travis Head at the top. Now, I suspect they were concerned that Travis is not as effective when he starts against spin on the subcontinent. So they think the new ball, he can attack that, play an aggressive mindset. My only concern with that thinking is that what else are you saying to that player? So to Travis Head, you're basically saying, we don't trust you to open the batting. Or what you aren't saying is, we actually don't trust you to open the bat, to bat at 5 and start against spin in the middle order. So we don't want you to bat there, so we're just going to throw you at the top. And this is where Australia missed a big opportunity, because they could have got a couple more games into Sam Constas. He could have then gone into the Test Championship final. That would have been his 5th Test match. Then he could have gone to the West Indies and played his 6th, 7th and 8th Test match. And I think there would have been more information that the selectors would have and the coach would have known about Sam Constas as to whether he would have been ready to play an Ashes series. So I think the selectors missed a trick there a little bit. But I understand their thinking. And, at the other side of the ledger, they wanted to win that series in Sri Lanka. The here and now, we think Travis Head at the top is the best option. I get that. This is the balance between the here and now and future planning. They wanted to reward players who got them to the World Test Championship final. I understand that. I get that. But I'm not sure Australia has shown how much they value the World Test Championship final or World Test Championship, because there was, in the previous cycle, they missed out on the final with slow over rates. Their over rates were so slow that they were docked points, which cost them an opportunity to play in the World Test Championship final. So, yeah, how important is the World Test Championship final? Because if it is important, you get through your overs, don't you, Trav?
Yeah, you do. I mean,
You get through.
I've personally felt like the Australian public speak around the World Test Championship has felt a little forced to me, and that's just my opinion. I feel like it's been an ICC initiative over the last 6 years, but there's not that tradition. There's not that real, not every country would be seeing that as a holy grail of Test cricket. I think you're still taking an Ashes win, a win in India, even for a long time, Australia couldn't even win in any subcontinent country. So a win on the subcontinent. That's why the Sri Lanka series was so important, because they wanted to continue on their form from Pakistan. So I don't know if it's a little bit manufactured. I tend to agree with you that you sort of show your true colours a little bit with how serious you take your over rates, if that's going to dock you from points. So it's a tough one. I can understand. I mean, and this is a whole nother topic for one day around the World Test Championship, but I can understand why the ICC brought that in to give some extra relevance to the to those sort of bilateral series. But it seems to me that what are we, 3 cycles in now? 3 different champions. I don't think.
Tell that to South Africa. South Africa have not won many trophies. Big trophies in world cricket, and they won that World Test Championship. I think they take it pretty seriously, although it must be said, this summer in South Africa, guess how many test matches they play at home?
Well, they'd have the Boxing Day test. They always have the Boxing Day test. They
are not playing one test match in the South African home summer this season. Not one. Wow. Which, again, that tells you where cricket is going. They prioritise the SAT20, and that's their decision, it's their prerogative. But I think South Africa and what's happening in South Africa gives you a really clear indication of where cricket is going, and the franchise cricket is just going to get stronger and stronger and more relevant. I reckon watch this space, Trav.
Well, and ownership's coming out of the IPL as well, and all these teams are linked in across all different franchises over the world. So, yep, I think you're spot on. Now, the next question, we're gonna go back to your time in Yorkshire. I've had a couple of questions actually from some Yorkshire fans. So Mel has sent through. She's a Yorkshire Triple C member.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
hi, Mel.
I know. So she wants to know if you enjoyed your time at Yorkshire, and if there'd be anything you'd do differently. And the next question on from that is, would you consider coaching in the UK again?
Thank you for the question, Mel. And look, first of all, I love my time at Yorkshire. It's probably it's up there with one of the best experiences I've had in not only my cricketing life, but my life in general. It was a dream job to get, to be first team coach of Yorkshire. We had some success. As a family, we lived there and lived in Leeds for a number of years. Our youngest daughter, Delaney, was born in Leeds. So we've got that affiliation, that affection for Yorkshire, for Leeds. We love the place. Would I coach in the UK again? Oh, look, I think if the right opportunity came up, I'd certainly consider it. We loved our time in England, and I love it as a country. Great people. I've had some a few experiences coaching in the UK, and have enjoyed them all. So I'd never rule it out. At the moment, I'm quite enjoying doing what I'm doing at the moment in the media, and probably looking at some short-term coaching opportunities in the next little while. but certainly wouldn't rule out an opportunity to go and live and work in the UK and coaching cricket. That's for sure.
Well, I promise you haven't pre-read these, but you've beautifully segued into the next question. I feel like you've done that on the last couple as well. So this one's from Matt Hutchinson, and he said he wants to know, you've spent a couple of seasons now commentating the game. Do you prefer commentating on radio or TV? And what have you learnt the most from your time in commentary?
Yeah. Thanks, Matt, for that question. Do I prefer radio or TV? Is that what
the
it
question.
is?
So I suppose you do live stream, if you will. Yeah, so talking to the vision.
Yeah. Look, I love the radio commentary. It's a lot of fun. I've got a very good face for radio, Trav. As you know.
So do I. That's why I do it too.
Yeah, you and I are both in that same boat. But I love the freeness of radio, the opportunity to share some stories. I love talking about the contemporary game, the here and now, what's going on, debating selections, with things we speak about, talking about current state of the game, how it's evolved, from back even when I was playing, how things have improved and got better. I just love debating and discussing all these things for our listeners. So, that's something I really enjoy. I'm absolutely having a ball, and I'll be with the ABC, the national broadcaster, for all 5 tests this summer. Going to be doing a little bit in the Big Bash with the ABC and a little bit on the ground with Fox. So, look, I'm beyond excited. It's been a while. This is the first year I've been out of coaching for 15 years, and so it's kind of a bit new for me, but certainly something that I'm embracing and enjoying immensely. And look, being able to do our podcast, Trav, has been a breath of fresh air for me. It's something that I thoroughly look forward to. Unfortunately, I have to see your face.
That is unfortunate. That is the challenge.
Is a little bit unfortunate. And I also do the pod with Glenn and Flemo, which is a lot of fun as well. So, look, ultimately, I'm talking cricket all the time. We're sitting here chatting cricket and answering the questions of all our wonderful listeners who message them in. And I love the interaction, because ultimately, you and I, Trav, we're cricket tragics. We just love the game so much, and I can talk about the game like this all day, every day. No dramas whatsoever. It's a passion for me. I love discussing the nuances of the game, and that's why I think right now, where I'm at in my life, having this opportunity to do some radio comms and is the right thing for me right now.
Well, now that you've said that, we'll have to line up an all-day podcast, which is streamed live, so all the listeners can just hang out with us.
Stream it live. That would be elite.
That would be huge. It'd be an investment of technology on my part, but we could probably make it. We could probably make it happen. We did actually talk about. We must give a shout out to our founding sponsor, of course, Belair Turf, who run the golf course at the Seacliff Golf Course. We're going to be back out there for our long form podcast next week, which is exciting.
Are we going to have a hit as well? Or?
Well, I think we better have a hit, and then I think actually the episode after that we may even record it out on the golf course. How does that sound to you?
Do we want to show people just how bad we are at golf?
I think it could get a good laugh. So I think, look, you and I are naturally funny people, obviously, but this would turn it into a real comedy.
Absolutely.
It would almost go from being a cricket podcast with a touch of humour to a comedic podcast with a touch of cricket. Just watching us try and hit a ball.
Just watching us trying to play golf, I think everyone would get a little bit of humour out of that, to be perfectly honest.
All right. Well, we'll see what we can line up. I know they'll look after us down at the Seacliff Golf Course. And
absolutely.
And $15, mind you, after 3 p.m. So
how good is that? Is that the best value golf, best value entertainment going around in Adelaide?
I think it's got to be.
I would argue it is.
And I don't know where you'd even find a game of golf that's around double that price. It would be more expensive than double that price. So it's $15 after 3, Monday to
And
Friday.
then
Get down there and have a hit.
play your 9 holes, Trav, and you can go and have a cold beverage and sit outside and overlook the course. You can see the ocean. It's just such a beautiful, beautiful place. And we've definitely got to do that. We've enjoyed a soda water there a couple of times, haven't we?
We have.
After a round.
And a bowl of chips. They do good chips
They
too.
do lovely chips. They do very nice chips, I must say.
Well, if the weather's good, what we can do is we can record it outside next time, out on the deck.
Oh,
the weather holds up, not too much wind around. That'll be spot on. Anyway, we've digressed here. I've got a big question, and this one is from our mate Adam Bannon over in the USA.
Adam,
he's
our biggest supporter.
He is the cricket guy in the USA. If you are in the States and you want to know about cricket, you go to Adam Bannon and he will sort you out with all the knowledge you need. He likens it to baseball. He makes it a real sort of friendly experience for them to learn. It's a little bit of a complicated game, isn't it? If you want to go into the intricacies, but realistically, it's a bat and a ball, and you got to hit it as far as you can. You got to get the batters out, so it's the same sort of vibe, right? But Adam's question to you this week, he's always got a good one lined up. What is your favourite type of delivery to bowl? Do you have a memory of being at the top of your bowling mark and you've gone, this is what I'm going to bowl, and you've bowled it, and you've nailed it, and you've taken the wicket?
Yes. I always tried to bowl. I always angled the seam towards sort of between the keeper and first slip because for the right-hander. So I was always looking to get the ball off stump. I called it off stump swinging, right? So I just hit off stump and look to move away and commit the batter to a shot, not thinking that it's going to hit off stump. So commit them to play. And I remember this one day I was at the top of my mark and I'm bowling in a Shield game against WA at Adelaide Oval, and I'm bowling to Ryan Campbell, a very good player, played for Australia, Hong Kong, current head coach at Durham. And I remember thinking, I've just got to bowl. I was being a fraction short. I've just got to bowl a little bit fuller, get that knee roll length, invite him, get him thinking he needs a drive at this. And I pitched it up. It was off stump swinging, and it just a hint away. It was about knee roll height, and he's just gone forward and pushed at it. He's got the nick, gone behind, and I'm thinking, happy birthday. How good is this? It was just the perfect setup, and that doesn't happen very often in your career. It might only happen a handful of times, but yeah, I do remember that one distinctly.
All right, well, Adam, I set you the task now to see if you can find that ball, and you can make one of your videos to go alongside that.
If you can find that footage, that would be amazing.
Yeah. So the challenge is laid down to the great man, Adam. Now, next week's episode is that'll be our last episode before the first test. So we're going to talk all things. We're going to get some. We've touched on predictions, but we're going to get them all on record so that we can keep you accountable. Obviously, you're the cricket expert here. I'm the nuffy asking you the questions, who likes to have an opinion too. But I'll put mine on record. But really, we want to know all of your thoughts ahead of, mate. There hasn't been this much hype for an Ashes series in.
I can't remember
as long as I can remember.
I actually can't remember a bigger hype for Ashes. To be perfectly honest, I think there's all talk of this how England play. They talk about Bazball or whatever you want to call it. That's fine. How they're going to come out aggressive. There's a lot of question marks about their preparation from former players, lead-in times. What's the makeup of either teams? What their sides are going to look like? There's just been so many questions and so many discussion points, which I think is absolutely fascinating, and it's really got the public engaged in cricket, and I think that's just a wonderful thing.
It is. Now, I've got one last question for you, and we're going to answer this over 2 episodes because it deserves 2 episodes. I'm giving you this little starting point because I think you need a little bit more time to finalize your squad and make sure that you're not missing anyone, because I know what it's like to be put on the spot. But Angelina Summerton has asked you for a best all-time 11. Now, this is something that this is
a best all-time 11.
Best all-time 11. So what I want to ask you today is who are your three locks? Your three locks in the best all-time 11. And then when we come back to the next Ask Dizzy episode, we'll come back to a full team. All right? Okay, but I want to know your three locks.
Yeah, so look, first of all, thanks to Angelina for sending through that question. So just so I'm really clear, best all-time 11 worldwide, any country, any era.
I would say it's open to your interpretation of what that means, but the question literally says best all-time 11. That's it. So I'm going to suggest that this is open to anyone who's ever played cricket, and I feel like I would be on the borderline of that squad given some of my performances in the LO5s a couple of years ago.
Okay, so you want my three locks?
Yeah, your three locks for this week.
Okay, my three locks. I'm going to go Sir Donald Bradman.
Yep.
I think it's pretty hard to go past someone who averaged basically 100 in Test cricket.
Yep.
It's twice as good as anyone else that's basically played the game. Admittedly, didn't play against like all Test playing nations. You played against a few, but still, that record is absolutely superb. So I think Donald George Bradman is a lock. Oh, wow. This is actually incredibly tricky, isn't it?
It is. That's why I'm giving you 2 episodes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to... Yeah, I'm...
Shane Keith?
See, I need a bit of time to digest it because I've got to decide between Shane and Murali. Murali's got 800 Test wickets. Can I fit them both in the 11? So this is something I need a little bit further thought and just thought in my mind. I'll be honest, I'm probably leaning towards Shane right now. In all conditions, I think Shane was absolutely superb. So, but I'm just going to hold off on that, and I'm going to think about it until our next episode.
Okay.
So I've got Bradman.
Gilchrist. Hard to go past?
Yeah, I actually find it really hard to go past Adam Gilchrist as a wicketkeeper batsman. And the reason I say that is he's always known, people, you talk Adam Gilchrist, and everyone talks about his batting. No one really talks about his wicket-keeping. And I think in part, they don't talk about his wicket-keeping because it was so effective that no one had to talk about it.
Yep.
He hardly missed a thing, Gilly. And what I loved about Gilly is that everyone saw him as a batter who kept wicket, but he always saw himself as the opposite. He was a wicket keeper who contributed with the bat to the team. And he poured all his time and energy into making himself the very best wicket keeper that he could to play for Australia and perform well. Gilly didn't miss much. He was a fine wicket keeper in all conditions. So, yeah, I'm probably going to put Gilly in as a lock, I'll be honest, yeah. I'll whack him. So I've got Bradman, I've got Gilly.
Well, Diz, I'm going to tell you, we're going to get kicked off this free Zoom call in less than 1 minute because I don't pay for the subscription.
One, I'm going to go the great Malcolm Denzel Marshall, 383 Test wickets at 20. Useful batter, averages to shade under 20 with the bat as well. A mainstay of the West Indian attack in the 80s and maybe 90s. But, yeah, Malcolm Denzel Marshall.
We love it. That's all we got time for. Make sure you follow the Still Not Out podcast. Give us a 5-star rating. We'll be back at the Seacliff Golf Club next week. So make sure you're listening out. Thanks for joining us on the show today and have a great one, Diz.
You too, mate.